Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Sean. Glad to be with you this morning for just the first United News roundup of the day. You never know if there's going to be another one. It depends on the club, depends on what's going on, depends on the latest and greatest going on in world football. But today we do have some interesting topics to discuss. Obviously, we've got a little bit of injury updates, a little bit of transfer news, and then obviously today we're going to talk a little bit about this friendly against Real Betis. Did you guys stay up late to watch that? I had big plans to do so, but I ended up just I started watching the AC Milan Real Madrid match because my buddy was there with his dad and his brothers in Chicago, so I was checking that one out. Then I ended up falling asleep. Haven't been feeling great, so I was a little tired, but I woke up early this morning and watched it just to get the replay and watch the match. So a lot of thoughts on that. And then obviously we have a coaching staff shakeup. So before we do get stuck in, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new, and go check me out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. So let's get started. And first and foremost, we could celebrate. United have their first trophy of this season. Officially, we are the Snapdragon Cup champions. So it's great to lift that trophy. So big up, like the video if you want to celebrate that trophy this morning with me. So to start things off, we're trying to get the negatives out of the way first a little bit. Do have an official injury update. So this is coming from Laurie Whitwell. Obviously, good connections to the club. Sounds like United have confirmed that Lenny Euro's metatarsal injury will keep him out for about 3 months. Not the news we all wanted to hear, obviously, not the news that we were expecting, I think. And definitely not what we were hoping for when we signed him. It's not anyone's fault. If I'm going to blame anybody, it's going to be the referees on this preseason tour, but we'll get into that a little later. So obviously he's going to be out for a little while. Apparently he wanted to stick with the squad for the rest of this tour. That's why he's not back yet, but he'll be assessed further when United returns back to England. Rasmus Højlund is going to be looking like out for about 6 weeks, so about a month and a half with a hamstring issue. So it's not great injury updates. We're really kind of, and I think what's such a bummer about it is that it's like we're used to it, right? We're just used to injuries at United. It's just we have the worst luck when it comes to injuries. Last season we're literally like the worst in the league when it came to injuries. We always seem to pick up injuries preseason. It's just without fail. And I'm so tired of it, man. Like the state of some of these pitches on the tour, the state of the refereeing on this tour, like Arsenal and Betis fouling players left and right. Like it's freaking annoying. So I know what this could mean, as far as some of our other signings. We've been linked with Matthias de Ligt, Jared Branthwaite. We've made bids for both, basically. And this injury to Euro looks likely to accelerate those plans, at least according to James Ducker. He says it looks like we're probably going to be ramping up our center back search here. I'm not sweating yet when it comes to more transfers. I know a lot of people are getting frustrated or getting impatient. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I do think we'll bring more players in. I do think we need to sell players, though, obviously. And I think a big part of the selling process is deciding who to sell. Obviously, there saw some rumors that Casemiro might be sticking around. We probably are open to selling McTominay, as we'll get into a little later, but it's going to take a big fee. Obviously, we're working to get Wan-Bissaka out the door, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But we do right now. The state of the squad is not great. Back to one striker who hasn't played a single minute with his teammates. We just lost our brand new center back signing, so it's just, what can you do? But let's get, it's just, it is you just take it and you roll with it, I guess. We've seen a lot of new additions to the coaching staff this summer. Obviously, Rene Haka came in, Ruben Nistelrooy came in. They're going to be playing a big role moving forward. If you want to learn a little bit more about what they're all about as coaches, go check out my deep dive videos on each of those guys for a closer look at their coaching careers, their tactics, their management styles, their numbers, and all that stuff. Go check those out. We've also seen the departures of Mitchell Vandergaag and Benny McCarthy, the assistant coach and the striker coach, respectively. And then also, we did get confirmation yesterday that Steve McClaren is going to leave the club. He has left the club. He's taking on the role of the head coach of the Jamaican national team. And so that's official. So Steve McClaren, longtime servant of the club. Good morning, Danny B. How are you, my friend? Going to join the Reggae Boys as their new head coach. So best of luck, Steve. We do have some comments from him. He says, I wish to say a huge thank you to everyone at Manchester United for their friendship, help, and support during the past 2 years. I am delighted to have played my part in helping Eric deliver 2 trophies to the club, and for my final game to have been our FA Cup victory over Manchester City. There could be no better note on which to end. I have no doubt the foundations that are in place at Manchester United will see the club challenging again soon for all the major trophies. He continues to say, I'm extremely proud and excited to take up the position of head coach for the Jamaican nationals team. I had no hesitation in accepting a position that is ideally suited to me at this stage of my career. Yeah, Jamaica is not, they don't have bad players. I think Leon Bailey plays for them. There was another, Mikel Antonio, doesn't he still play? Or did he retire from an international career? Ten Hag had some comments regarding McClaren's departure. He says, I want to thank Steve for his tremendous service over the past 2 years. He has been an invaluable source of support and advice to me since I arrived in English football, helping us achieve 2 trophies while laying down foundations for further success. Steve and I have been friends for 16 years since we first worked together at FC20, and that relationship will continue as he embarks on his next challenge, as will his bond with Manchester United. Yes. McClaren, he's always going to be red. Obviously, he was a big part of Sir Alex's career as United manager, and he's been a big help for us under Ten Hag. So all the best to Steve McClaren. Moving on to a little bit of what Ineos have been working on. A lot of fans are not too happy right now with Ineos cutting 250 jobs from United's total employee workforce. I hear the opinions. No one likes to see people lose their jobs. I get it. Again, I do think it has more to do with the Glazers and that kind of reckless decision-making than anything. So the Guardian reported, I was doing a little digging. So the Guardian reported that the 250 job cuts at Manchester United are expected to save the club about £10 million annually, which with each personnel individually saving about £40,000 annually. Again, the old regime added a ton of jobs just without really any sort of foresight, any sort of long-term thinking, any sort of anything really. And they did that almost at the height of COVID. So as I continued looking, so as of June 30th, this year ago, 2023, Manchester United had an average of 1,112 employees per month, which is the largest workforce in the Premier League. They have 100 more employees at that time than Liverpool, for instance. That's an increase from 1,035 employees in 2022, and then an increase, obviously, from the 983 in 2021. So right at the peak of COVID, right at all this stuff, United just added like 200 jobs. This isn't me saying it's the right move, to do this. It's not me saying I'm happy about this. I'm just saying, I'm giving context again. Like, what do I always say? Context is key. We have to see. It's not just like they're like, we want to save some money. We're the new Glazers. Let's cut jobs. It's no, the previous owners did a horrible job. We can't accuse the Glazers of a horrible job on all sorts of stuff and then let them off scot-free with something like this just because it has to do with firing people. It's not. We got to be realistic about this. We got to be mature about this. KD, good morning, my friend. How are you guys? Did you guys watch the match last night? Like I said, I woke up about 5:30 this morning and watched it, watched the replay, and so I'll get to that in a little bit. But some people decided to push through and stay up. I'm just not a night owl guy. I'm more of a morning person. I like to get up, get my stuff done. I got the dogs. I let the dogs out, get them fed, get the coffee going. I get all my prep for videos done. I do a lot of, obviously I run my business, so got emails to check and everything, and scheduling to look at and things like that. So, and then I usually work out a little later on in the morning too. I like to have all my stuff done and by like 11, 12 at the latest if I can. So let me know. Danny B, yeah, watched it feeling at work this morning. Yeah, that's probably why I didn't stay up, because I would be feeling it. And I have like a sinus infection, so I've been kind of just not feeling too hot the last few days. So I was exhausted yesterday. KD, 5 a.m. Yeah, I got up this morning to watch it. So do have some potential transfer news as far as outgoings go. Sounds like Scott McTominay, who has been linked with recent clubs, obviously Galatasaray interested, Fulham interested. So it seems like Fulham have now returned with a new bid of £23 million. And this is coming from Samuel Luckhurst, coming from a lot of sources this morning. Luckhurst reiterates that we are open to bids between 25 30. Remember, we reported yesterday if someone comes close to 30 million, we'll probably accept it. Fabrizio Romano commented that we're likely to reject this latest bid from Fulham because it does fall pretty short. I think, and this is going to be a bit divisive. So obviously there's a lot of members of the fan base who are like, get him out of here. We don't want him. I'll drive him to Fulham myself. Some people want McTominay. They think he's a good squad player. Some people like me, I think that we can improve on McTominay. I think if you sell McTominay, you have to improve on McTominay. But I also think that 23 million is a piss take. If Fulham, who just sold Paulinho for almost 50 million, and who just spent 35 million on Emile Smith-Rowe, are going to bid 23 million for Scott McTominay, who has done way more in the league than Emile Smith-Rowe has, I think we can hold out for a little more, because obviously we have our own spending to be concerned about right now. So Fulham hurt themselves by spending big on Emile Smith-Rowe, and so it is what it is. James Ducker does add that Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are still interested in him, though. So it could be a little bit of a bidding war for McTominay if anyone ever thought that they would actually say those words out loud. Danny B, of course, we know Danny B wants to get rid of McTominay. Danny B, are you one of the I would fly back to England and drive him to Fulham myself for free crowd? Like I said, I'm all for selling him. I want to make sure we get good market value. And again, kind of like what I was saying about Wan-Bissaka weeks ago before the Mazraoui stuff ramped up. If we sold, we have to replace him. We just have to. Because whether you like McTominay or not, he is in the match day squad. He is one of our only other midfield options right now. So we can't just sell him without a plan. Can't just sell McTominay, get Ugarte, keep Casemiro, in my opinion. We have to do more. I don't know what that looks like. Amrabat, Rabiot, whoever. We need more. I don't know how much we're going to be able to do. We're not going to go full Liverpool and buy 4 midfielders in one summer. I think our midfield does need a big overhaul. I just don't think that's going to happen this year. So that's why I said early in the video, we do need to sell players, but part of that process is about figuring out who to sell and maybe even prioritizing that. And that's not me saying that's what I want. It's just me trying to be realistic about it, and it's how it works. Speaking of buying midfielders, though, so this is coming from French outlet L'Equipe. PSG sounds like they're now willing to accept a paid loan for Manuel Ugarte with a high option to buy included. We spoke about that the other day. It sounds like they're more open to that. Kind of similar like the Amrabat deal that we did last summer. We brought him in for initial fee, had that option to buy for 20 million, which we didn't exercise. Obviously, it sounds like we have maybe a possible option there if kind of like your fallback option, if midfielders don't work out, to go get him for even less, which I remember I was saying that last month, but we'll see. Yeah, Danny B said, Newcastle got 35 for Anderson. Yeah, the kind of fees some of these players have been going for, some of these literal no names, need to be, in my opinion, it's in our best interest. This is the thing. There's one thing I'll encourage everybody when it comes to backing themselves: just know your worth and stick to it in life. Whether that's how much you should be paid, how you should be treated, anything like that. Whether you're in a relationship, at a job, friendships, just know your worth. Not just financially, know your worth and back it. Have a boundary, back it. Same with this. We know what McTominay's worth. People are interested, so clearly there's a bit of a demand. He's not bad. He's just not good in this system, and he scores goals, whether you like it or not. So he actually looked decent last night, which I'll get into. So KD says, I'm good with selling him, but for fair value. He does give everything for the club. I'd take a limited player that gives his all than a talented, injured, disinterested one any day. I'll take talented and energetic, but it is very rarely do you get that. Not everyone's a Luka Modric or Bruno Fernandes kind of thing where you're going to get all of it. So, but we'll see. Like I said, if we sell him, we have to replace him. So it's just simple as. So moving on to last night's friendly against Real Betis, super late, So as the thumbnail implies, look, I know it's preseason. I've said many times this whole summer, like, it's preseason. Don't read too much into it. Now, we're about four matches into this. We're starting to see players get a little bit more fitness. We're starting to see the performances improve. And I'm going to say right now, Amad Diallo has been the most impressive United player on this tour, like by a mile. He looks like even from this first start, this preseason tour, like weeks ago, he's already looked like match fit. He looks like he could start against Fulham tomorrow. He's probably one of the fittest players on the pitch. He was definitely one of the fittest players on the pitch against Rangers. He was the best. Last night, his first half performance was just solid as it gets. He was lively, popping up in key areas in the final third with really good movement, knowing when to go forward, knowing when to drop back and maybe wait for a pass in the box. Like, he won the pen in the first half with some really good dribbling, drawing a lot of defenders to him and drawing the foul. I do think that the foul that he won the pen for was less of a pen than the one that was a no call earlier, but I think we got that second one because the ref knew that first one should have been a pen. We'll talk about refs in a little bit because I am not happy with some of the refs on this tour, honestly. Scored that great goal from that really good whipped in cross from Amas. He controlled it really perfectly, took on the left. We've seen that shot from him before. He scored a goal like that last season too. As far as numbers go, I mean, he completed 15 out of 16 passes. 5 out of 5 were into the final third. He was tracking he tracked all the way back. So Casemiro had lost the ball, and then Betis got into our box. And then Ahmad pops out of nowhere into the frame and just makes that vital block to just break up that chance. And that was dangerous. And that's what you get. A winger, he does it all. He tracks back, he gets involved, he wins the ball, he's got good movement, he looks to make the pass when it's on. He can read the game really well. He knows when to look for the ball into the box. He knows when it's just not on and he needs to just take the shot. And that's the kind of discernment and footballing intelligence in match like you that we need from more of our players. So get the new contract sorted. This year, he's going into the final year of his contract. We do still have an option to extend that by another year because that's what we do. So I just think we need to lock him down for the future and just plan on him for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. Danny B, we're playing two CBs really wide apart, fullbacks pushing up as high and wide as they can, literally like wingers. Just allowed Ahmad to drop in the midfield, sucking. Yeah. And you notice that I saw Ten Hag kind of telling Amas and Wan-Bissaka to get forward. They were pretty much parallel with our wingers, and I think that's really what we're trying to do, trying to overload in the final third, get those numbers high. And what's great about Ahmad is because he does oftentimes, especially at Sunderland, play in midfield, play as a number 10, but he's also, because he's so intelligent, he almost has like that license to roam a little bit, kind of like what we see from like Bruno and Odegaard, where you can trust him to discern and use a little bit of wisdom to know what to do in certain situations. And so when you have a player like that, they're worth their weight in gold, in my opinion. And he's still young, and to see that from him, not having played for so long, and kind of like, it's impressive. You can tell there's something there. KD, Brain, don't read too much. It's preseason. Don't get carried away. Also, Brain, I'm not right. I think that's where we're all at right now. And again, I'm trying to keep it like realistic, trying to temper my expectations and my reactions because it is preseason, but I'm can only judge by what I see. And comparatively speaking to the rest of our squad, the rest of the other teams we played, Ahmad has looked so much better. As Danny B says, so composed and relaxed. He is. He just doesn't look. It's not like, you can tell some players, they kind of look like almost lazy a bit. But Ahmad doesn't look lazy. He just looks, like you're saying, just composed, like Kabi Manu looks. Like, it just looks like they're never rushed. They're never pressured. They don't feel it. They just look like they know what they're doing, and they back themselves in those situations. And I think that, again, those kind of players are worth their weight in gold. KD says that stint in the championship really did it good. He was very, very good at Sunderland. He was actually not bad at Rangers either. If I'm Ten Hag, that right wing spot is Ahmad's to lose right now. And that's me. Right now, that's me saying Garnacho should probably be starting over Rashford on the left, considering Rashford's form. Rashford has, in my opinion, work to do to earn his spot, given where he was. If you're trying to be fair, if you're trying to be consistent with the way you treat everybody, Rashford's the one who's got something to prove right now, not Garnacho, not Ahmad. So if Anthony and Rashford and Sancho want to get in the squad, they've got to show that they're going to do better Garnacho and Ahmad, and so far I haven't seen that. I have to admit too, though, say what you want about Sancho, but he and Rashford do seem to have a really good connection on the pitch. It reminds me a lot of Rashford when he plays with Martial. They seem to be always be on the same page. They kind of know where each other is going to be. Their link-up play, their one-touch play is very, very impressive. And I think it helps when you have relationships off the pitch. Graham Potter is a big believer in this, of getting his players to engage in activities and new challenges, and tasks and things and projects off the pitch together to build team, to teach them to work together to solve problems that aren't just football related. It builds cohesion, and cohesion is a big deal. And when you're players who are really good friends off the pitch, it does help. Danny B, Sancho false 9 versus GD. I think that this is where managers need to start earning a little bit of money. So where Ten Hag needs to, like, if we're without a striker, if Zirkzee maybe isn't ready yet, or maybe mid-match or something, you need to experiment with that. Maybe switch it up to like a 4-3-3 or maybe like a 4-4-2 with a diamond, and drop someone back, drop Bruno back to an 8, put Sancho in as a false 9, like a Bobby Firmino kind of a thing. He played there this time. He's played in the midfield before when Ten Hag tried to get him into the squad last season. So it's not as if he can't do it. He's got good enough close control. He's got really good link-up play and one-touch play. I think he can do it. But he's also showed last night he's also got some speed too. So I think that it gives you a little bit of tactical flexibility, but it's up to Ten Hag to do that. And there's one criticism I have with Ten Hag. He can be a little bit rigid, legalistic, stubborn sometimes when it comes to tactics and formations and positions sometimes, which you just can't do with all these injuries. You have to take chances. I know he doesn't want to. He wants to implement his style, his philosophy, but you have to just see the bigger picture sometimes. So it is what it is. Can I say though that I'm like as touched upon, I'm so sick of these refs in preseason. Like, I get it. You don't want to card people. You don't want, but you also don't want injuries. The reason they were getting these injuries and these bad fouls is because you're not showing cards to people when they should be carded. This is why the injuries are happening. This is why Arsenal were going hard on our players left and right. This is why, if you watched the City match last night, Arsenal were going hard in that match too. Like, and we saw it from Real Betis, just kicking people. Rashford, like, literally got a stubbs up stamp on his ankle, like, and nothing. It wasn't even a foul, I don't think. Like, it's ridiculous. Like this is why these injuries are happening. Like, is it you? Like, I just don't get it. Someone help me understand that. I hope Rashford's injury is not too bad. Obviously, I saw him walking around later on. Obviously, he went off the pitch. It was a bad foul. And then Anthony came on and went off injured straight down the tunnel too. Like, what the hell, man? KD, to be fair, Rashford looked sharp in the 22-23. Yeah, he's looked sharp. Rashford, people call him Marcus Trashford. I never got that. I've always, when I criticize Rashford, I call him Marcus Rushford, because he's too heavy of a touch sometimes. He runs the ball out of play, and he needs to slow down a little bit sometimes. KD, Danny, yes, Rashi left. I'm out of right. So I'm sick of the refs. These injuries are getting on my nerve. Have we seen one card at all preseason? We've seen way more injuries than we've seen cards throughout this entire preseason tour. It's been freaking annoying, man. But what have I said about friendlies, man? It's just, this is why I hate friendlies, international friendlies, preseason friendlies. I hate them. All they are to me, I think, injury roulette. That's all they are. Just injury roulette. Just spin the wheel. Let's see who's going to come off injured. It happens to so many times every single summer. We lost Kobe Manu last summer. Arsenal lost Urian Timber last summer. We now Hoyland, now potentially Rashford, Anthony. Like, I hate preseason. I hate friendlies. That's why I can never be a footballer though with some of these refs. I would be yelling at referees all the time for stuff like this. Like, I'd be going in like Keno. I mean, I'd be literally, this is why I tell my friend, like, Roy Kent is my spirit animal. Roy Kent from Ted Lasso, he is my Patronus. Like, I don't care. When I used to play indoor, like, when you play indoor, it's kind of like hockey, right? There's boards, but when you get in trouble, you get sent to the box for a couple minutes. I spent a lot of time in the box. I got sent to the box for being sarcastic and yelling at the refs. I got sent to the box when the refs weren't doing their job and I had to throw weight around and hip check somebody into the boards. Like, if I have to do your job for you as a ref, if I've got to be the one to kind of control the game, like then I get frustrated and I let the refs know about it. Like this, I can't. I'd be like Rooney. Remember Rooney was getting yelled at so much. KD, yesterday's ref was utter shit. He was, man. Rever, hey man, how you doing, Rever? Good to see you again. Your injury is terrible. Your injury is. It's just, yeah. If someone asked me the other day, who do I blame for I blame the refs for the fact that the game is getting out of hand and you're letting a lot of these hard fouls happen so frequently on a preseason tour. Like putting the yellow cards ahead of player fitness to me is just a shambles. So I think Rashford might be a week or so. I don't think Rashford tends to pick up these ankle injuries because he just holds on to the ball a little too much oftentimes. At the same time, that's not blaming him for getting injured. It's just a contributing factor as to why he seems to get so many ankle issues. You see it with like when you're a player who holds on to the ball and like that, like Grealish gets fouled all the time. It's a similar thing. It's just Rashford should have been a penalty rubber. It like the ref was garbage, like just garbage, man. Like it is what it is. But again, what have I said about friendlies? Injury roulette. It is what it is. I thought Casemiro looked decent. McTominay looked decent, especially higher up the pitch. McTominay reminded me a lot of Wout Weghorst last night, just causing problems, closing the defenders down, closing the keeper down, just causing a lot of chaos, kind of like what we saw with Hannibal the other day when he came on and played up front. Casemiro, I think in the last year, Casemiro has looked better when he's higher up the pitch to me than when he's can kind of holds in that defensive role. I think that he's got a decent pass on him. I think we saw, he had that one kind of link-up opportunity with McTominay, where it was a 1-2 give and go, and then he kind of fed McTominay over the top. And Casemiro causes a lot of problems for us. I think not bad, but like he causes problems in the opposition area for us. He's deadly on set pieces, especially free kicks. He just has that knack. So good link-up play, good dribbling and passing high up the pitch. New number 10 downloading? I don't know, maybe. Harry Amas looked really bright. I thought the minutes he's been getting with the first team has really helped his development. I think compared to what we saw against Rosenborg to what we saw last night, a lot of especially the younger players and a lot of the first teamers have this is part of why you do preseason, right? I get it, to get fit. I'd rather just take away the whole commercial aspect of it and play honest to God, play behind closed doors friendlies at Old Trafford or something, because the spectacle of it all and all the travel involved does not help, and it's super, super annoying. So Rever says first half was decent, looking for. We are looking feeder. I thought the first half was really good. KD, yes, it was a straight stamp onto his foot, injured him, plus an initial trip. Clear. It was, if you watch the replay, the Betis players' studs are up, and it catches Rashford above the ankle bone. It's just way not even called. Cass and McTominay look strong, says Rever. Amas a good prospect. Yeah, Cass played well. It doesn't seem. It's hard. I think Casemiro does need to leave KD, but I don't know if Ten Hag and Ineos see that way anymore. I think that finances are kind of dictating some of these decisions. So we'll see. I thought overall the high press in the second half was very, very good to start. Casemiro again, McTominay, Ahmad causing a lot of problems for Real Betis when they were trying to play out from the back, forcing a lot of throw-ins and things deep in their own third, just by not giving them an inch to breathe, not leaving them any space and time on the ball. I heard on Casemiro, I heard some commentators remarking about Casemiro's fitness and saying, that he needs minutes to get back fit. And I've said this many, many times. I've said this for months. Some people think Casemiro is, because he's older, playing too much is going to hurt him. It's the exact opposite with Casemiro. When you've noticed, Casemiro takes a while to get back up to speed every time he's out. But when he gets back up to fitness and form, he can go. He can play multiple times a week and he's fine. He just needs that routine and that consistency to get back up to speed. He's not going to get tired. It's when he gets time off that he starts to suffer. Again, he's just that kind of player who just needs minutes to get back to form. Rever, I'm expecting Cass to stay. His wages are enormous. Danny B, do you think we will still get Amrabat. I think Amrabat is one of those like on standby kind of situations, depending on what happens with like McTominay, Casemiro, and potentially Ugarte. If I had right now, I would probably say sell McTominay, probably keep Casemiro, get Ugarte, and then just go ahead and bring in Amrabat as well. So you're getting two midfielders that are going to help. I know we're still looking at Rabiot. He is available as a free agent right now. So I do still think as a free agent, that would be a really good piece of business. And you just figure it out after the fact. I mean, at least you have him, right? So, but we'll see. It's anyone's guess. I know a lot of people would bring Amrabat back. I think that it's hard because as a fan, you have to balance like being realistic about where our finances are versus what you would want to happen, because it's very rare that both can coexist. So I think that with Euro, I think we're going to have to accelerate a midfield or a defender proposition, and I think that could dip into some of the other funds, but we'll see what happens. I wouldn't say no to Amrabat, but I would say no if that's our only midfield signing. I'll just say that. Rever, I think there's still a lot of business to be done before the win. Yeah, and that's what I said earlier. I think we will do some business. I do think we're probably going to be looking to make some sales first, though. KD, I agree. Casemiro gets better the more he plays. Thankfully, this time he didn't come back after an Anderson diet. He looks like he's a little slimmer, and that's not me saying he's fat. You're never going to hear me call a player fat. I think that's ridiculous. People who go on Luke Shaw need to give their heads a wobble. When the dude broke his leg and he was in crutches, he was in, literally, if you remember that photo that we saw, he was in better shape than 99.9% of his critics have ever been in their entire lives. Like, these professional footballers, you don't need to be completely ripped with 0% body fat. Like, it's like accusing Marcello or something like of not being good. Marcello wasn't in like the best shape physically, but it's hard to find a better attacking left back in football at the time. That guy was a beast. Rever says we still need a CBI. We do need some midfielders help. Rever, I'm not going to read your second comment. That's rude. But yeah, I thought our high press was really good. And Danny B, if you're still here, I did check out a little bit of, I think one of the kids you mentioned at River Plate was Mastant Tuano. Is that how you say his name? I did watch some highlights of their match the other day against Sarmiento. So it looks like he got man of the match, grabbed himself a goal as well. A lot of good passing. Obviously, he looked like he was playing kind of in that number 10/8 role. Created a lot of chances. Looks a good little player. You say he's going to Real. How many attacking midfielders is Real Madrid gonna get? They got Bellingham, they've got Guller, they've got Brahim Diaz, and now you want this guy. Like, you only got 11 spots on the pitch. I don't understand why so many young players go to Real Madrid sometimes, honestly. I think that there's not a good pathway to get into the first team there. Odegaard barely played. He went on about 5 different loans and then ended up just going to Arsenal anyway. Odriozola barely played for them. I really like, who I really like, who I was watching in their match is Fran Garcia, their left back. He looked excellent. Like, excellent. If we were in need for a starting left back this summer, I'd be throwing a lot of money at him. If you guys watch Fran Garcia, he looks excellent. So Madrid obviously have a lot of good players. They lost last night to AC Milan. So kind of a bummer for my buddy Justin, who drove all the way down to Chicago. But, it is what it is. Trip to Chicago, worst day of a trip to Chicago, probably better than a lot of days working at your normal job. So it's like people say about fishing, right? I go fishing all the time. Bad day on the water, probably still better than your best day at work. So it is what it is. Danny B, he has a 25 million release clause now, but it rises to 45 in mid-August. So we have been linked to him in the past. Interesting. I know we've been linked to a lot of young midfielders. Obviously, Danny Olmo, we were linked to Xavi Simons. Sounds like Simons is going to Leipzig. Sounds like Danny Olmo might be going to Barcelona. Sounds like they have agreed to a deal as far as Fabrizio Romano says earlier today. So Olmo could be Barcelona bound by the end of the weekend. KD says, hit that like button. Yes, indeed, hit that like button. That does bring us to the end of my thoughts on Real Betis, the end of my thoughts on the injuries. Obviously, McClaren is taking the Jamaica job, working with the Reggae Boys. Injury updates, Elena Euro looks like 3 months. Rasmus Højlund 6 weeks. We still don't know about the injury to Rashford. Hopefully it's not too big a deal. It sounds like it's not. And I have no idea what's going on with Anthony. He went straight down the tunnel. So we'll see what happens, but I will leave the chat open for a few more minutes while I check to see if anything has popped up while I've gone live. You guys chat amongst yourselves and get any questions, comments, or concerns in there while we're here. Rever says, Jean Neves I like, but he at PSG now. Yeah, Anthony looks like he's injured, Rever. Katie, I think we'll call it at Ugarte, DeLitt, and maybe another young prospect. And that's kind of, I mean, so that's 4 players. We've needed a striker for a while. Obviously, we needed to replace Rafael Varane. I do think we need a fullback to offer cover because we do pick up a lot of injuries in fullback. And our midfield, we have neglected a really proper kind of midfield kind of build for a long time. Obviously, we brought in Mount last year, Casemiro the year before. But again, before Casemiro, the last true number 6 we had was Nemanja Matic. And they're very different styles of player. Casemiro is, to me, not a true like defensive midfielder. Mount, obviously not a defensive midfielder. Casemiro, I think that we don't have any cover for Casemiro is basically what I'm getting at. And we never really built any sort of proper depth in midfield. And so we sold Fred, obviously Matic left. We do need to bring in a midfielder, whether we sell one or not. I do think we need a midfielder. That's just plain and simple. So whatever that looks like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but we do need a midfielder. Rever says, I missed the Beckham Scholes and Keane days of world-class midfield. Yeah, Keno. You guys ever watch the overlap? You know, Keno, he's become a bit of a softie. He hasn't lost any of his sarcasm, but he's become a bit of a softie now that he's a bit older. But he has me dying laughing. I watched the episode yesterday, and he was talking about where he was at a stag party once at a hotel, and he was so drunk and so wasted, stumbling back to his room, and he was hungry. He said he stopped, like how people, when they're done with their hotel, like their food, they leave the tray out in the hallway for someone to pick up. He said he was so drunk and so hungry coming to his room that he just stopped and ate this bowl of soup that he found sitting in the hallway. And I was like, what is the matter with you? You're an animal. But Roy Keane's hilarious. Gary Neville. Obviously, Jamie Carragher's on there. Ian Wright. It's a good, if you guys catch it on YouTube, it's pretty hilarious. But that is going to do it for me today, everyone. Let me know in the comments, your thoughts on the friendly against Real Betis, your thoughts on some of these injuries. If you are as frustrated with the refs as I have been on this preseason tour, I would 100% blame the lack of a backbone from these referees for a lot of these injuries that people are picking up right now, because some of the tackles are getting out of hand, the fouls are getting out of 10. Arsenal, Real Betis, a lot of very late, very hard challenges that didn't even get looked at, not by VAR because there's no VAR, but no one, like the ref, again, the foul on Rashford, the high studs up stamp on his ankle in the box, should have been a penalty, wasn't even called up for anything. So it is what it is, but that is going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by this morning. Danny, Katie, Rever, everybody. Appreciate you guys stopping by, supporting the channel. Let me know your thoughts. For those of you who stayed up late, hopefully, get a bit of coffee in you or a bit of tea or whatever you need. Maybe get some protein in you this morning, get some healthy fats, get that energy up. For those of you like me who got up early, the day's just starting. So, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. As Katie says, don't forget to hit the like button, please, on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave a comment. I respond to all the comments, even after the fact, because it's your guys' channel. You guys are the ones who kind of lead the conversation. I just kind of make sure it doesn't get too offhand. And I don't like listening to myself talk all the time, so I'd much rather talk to you guys. But appreciate the time today, stopping by. Thank you guys again, Katie, Rever, Danny. Barring any sort of major announcements, I'll probably see you guys on the next one. We could pop up today. We don't know what's happening. But I will see you guys on the next one. Enjoy your day and talk to you later. Bye.